In a significant turn of events, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has called for Ukraine to be included in negotiations aimed at ending the ongoing war with Russia, a process he believes could gain traction under a potential second term of Donald Trump as U.S. president. This plea comes amidst a backdrop of escalating military confrontations as Ukraine's defense forces successfully intercepted a substantial missile and drone assault from Russia. Zelensky's remarks highlight a complex geopolitical landscape. While he acknowledges the possibility of renewed talks under Trump, he also expressed skepticism regarding the clarity of any prospective agreement, suggesting that even Trump might not fully comprehend the situation, particularly given Russian President Vladimir Putin's apparent disinterest in resolving the conflict. In a recent statement, Putin reiterated his openness to engage in discussions with Trump, emphasizing a willingness to negotiate on various issues, including the war in Ukraine. "We believe the current president's statements about his readiness to work together. We are always open to this and ready for negotiations," Putin stated during a televised interview. The urgency of these diplomatic overtures is underscored by the ongoing violence. In a night marked by significant military action, Ukrainian forces managed to down 2 missiles and 46 out of 61 drones launched by Russia. Ukrainian military sources reported successful strikes on key Russian infrastructure, including oil facilities in Ryazan and a microelectronics plant in Bryansk, both critical to sustaining the Russian military's operations. As tensions mount, the situation is further complicated by North Korea's reported plans to augment its troop presence in support of Russia, despite suffering significant losses among its existing contingent. This development raises concerns about the broader implications for regional stability and international alliances. Zelensky has been vocal about the need for unity among Ukraine's allies, emphasizing that long-range capabilities and sanctions are essential to counter Russia's aggression. Only determination can stop such terrorists, he asserted, calling for coordinated efforts to enhance Ukraine's defense capabilities and reduce Russia's capacity to inflict terror. Meanwhile, the situation on the battlefield remains fluid. Reports indicate that Russian forces have captured the settlement of Zelensky in eastern Ukraine, although the details surrounding this claim remain unverified. Additionally, Russia asserts it has successfully destroyed a number of Ukrainian drones in its territory, further intensifying the ongoing conflict. As these dynamics unfold, the international community is left to ponder the implications of potential U.S. foreign policy shifts under a Trump administration. Concerns loom over Trump's commitment to Ukraine, especially in light of his foreign policy team's recent announcement to freeze aid to countries outside of Israel and Egypt, a move that could have dire consequences for Ukraine. The interplay of military actions, diplomatic negotiations, and shifting alliances will undoubtedly shape the future of the conflict. As Zelensky seeks to ensure Ukraine's involvement in any peace talks, the coming weeks will be critical in determining not only the fate of Ukraine but also the broader geopolitical landscape in Eastern Europe. The urgency for resolution grows as the specter of prolonged conflict threatens both regional stability and global security. In a significant turn of events, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has publicly called for his country to be included in any negotiations to end the ongoing war with Russia, expressing hope that such discussions could take place under a potential new administration led by Donald Trump. This development comes amidst a backdrop of escalating military activity, with Ukraine successfully intercepting a substantial portion of a recent Russian missile and drone barrage aimed at its territory. Zelensky's remarks reflect a growing urgency as Ukraine continues to face relentless assaults from Russian forces. "We are constantly working with our partners to strengthen our defense capabilities and to reduce Russia's ability to terrorize Ukraine," he stated. He emphasized the necessity of long-range capabilities and sanctions while urging unity among international allies to address the crisis effectively. Despite Zelensky's optimism about future negotiations, he acknowledged the ambiguity surrounding any potential deal, particularly noting that Russian President Vladimir Putin may not be genuinely interested in a resolution. The terms of any deal that might arise under the new U.S. president were still unclear, he added, highlighting the complexities of the ongoing conflict. Interestingly, Putin himself has expressed a willingness to engage in talks with Trump, framing the former U.S. president as a pragmatic leader focused on American interests. In a recent interview, Putin remarked, "We are always open to this and ready for negotiations," reinforcing the notion that he sees value in a relationship with Trump. This was particularly notable given Trump's controversial statements regarding Ukraine, including his assertion that the country should have surrendered to Russia and his criticism of Zelensky. The geopolitical landscape is further complicated by North Korea's reported intention to bolster its military presence alongside Russia in the conflict. South Korea's military has indicated that Pyongyang is preparing to send additional troops despite suffering significant losses among its existing forces. On the battlefield, Ukraine has ramped up its counteroffensive efforts. The Ukrainian military reported that it successfully shot down 2 missiles and a staggering 46 out of 61 drones launched by Russia in a recent attack. Moreover, Ukraine has targeted Russian oil facilities, including a significant strike on one of Russia's largest refineries in Ryazan, which is crucial for supplying the Russian military. Amidst these military developments, the political ramifications of U.S. foreign aid have surfaced. With Trump's ascension to the presidency, concerns have been raised regarding the future of American support for Ukraine. His administration's recent memo halting foreign aid to most countries excluding Israel and Egypt has alarmed Ukrainian officials, who fear the implications for their ongoing defense efforts. As the conflict continues to evolve, Zelensky remains committed to safeguarding Ukraine's sovereignty and minimizing the impact of Russian aggression. He concluded his remarks with a clarion call for international solidarity, stating, "The key is to act in unity and protect lives with resolve." Looking ahead, the unpredictable dynamics of U.S.-Russia relations under a potential Trump presidency may significantly influence the conflict's trajectory. While military confrontations persist, the prospect of high-stakes negotiations looms large, underscoring the need for strategic diplomacy to forge a path toward peace. As both sides prepare for what may come next, the world watches closely, hoping for a resolution to this protracted conflict that has reshaped the geopolitical landscape. In the midst of ongoing geopolitical tensions, recent developments have drawn attention to the contrasting narratives surrounding the Russia-Ukraine war. While Russian President Vladimir Putin has touted the resilience of Russia's war economy, claiming it is thriving despite international sanctions, many analysts are skeptical, viewing these assertions as little more than a facade. This juxtaposition was highlighted in statements made by both Putin and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, particularly in relation to potential negotiations under a new U.S. administration. Putin's comments came during a recent interview where he expressed a willingness to engage in discussions with Donald Trump, the newly inaugurated U.S. president, about a range of issues, including the ongoing conflict in Ukraine. "We believe the current president's statements about his readiness to work together. We are always open to this and ready for negotiations," Putin stated, reinforcing his stance that dialogue could be a pathway to resolving the conflict. However, the implications of such a dialogue remain murky, with Zelensky asserting that any negotiations must include Ukraine to be meaningful. The terms of any deal that might arise under the new U.S. president are still unclear, Zelensky remarked, highlighting the uncertainty surrounding Putin's true intentions. As the political landscape shifts, the military situation on the ground remains critical. Reports indicate that Ukrainian forces successfully intercepted a significant portion of a recent missile attack, downing 2 missiles and 46 out of 61 drones launched by Russia. In retaliation, Ukraine has targeted key infrastructure within Russia, including a major oil refinery, in an effort to undermine Russian military operations. Zelensky emphasized the need for unity among allies to strengthen defense capabilities and reduce Russia's capacity to inflict damage on Ukraine. Concurrently, the involvement of North Korea has been noted, with reports suggesting that Pyongyang is preparing to send additional troops to support Russia in its military efforts. This development raises concerns about the expanding international dimensions of the conflict as countries like South Korea monitor the situation closely. Compounding the uncertainty, Trump's approach to foreign aid has cast a shadow over Ukraine's future support from the United States. A recent memo indicated a halt to foreign aid funding for most countries excluding allies like Israel and Egypt, which could significantly impact Ukraine's military and humanitarian assistance. Such actions raise questions about the U.S.'s commitment to Ukraine, especially considering Trump's past comments that have been interpreted as dismissive of Ukraine's plight. Despite these challenges, Zelensky remains resolute in his call for unity against Russian aggression, emphasizing the importance of long-range capabilities and sanctions as critical components of Ukraine's defense strategy. Only determination can stop such terrorists, he stated, rallying support from international partners. As the conflict continues to evolve, the dynamics between Russia, Ukraine, and the United States will be pivotal in shaping the future of the region. With both leaders expressing a willingness to negotiate, the question remains whether these discussions will yield tangible results or if they are merely a strategic maneuver in a complex geopolitical game. The next few weeks may prove crucial as Ukraine seeks to bolster its defenses while navigating an uncertain political landscape. And the world watches closely for signs of a potential resolution or further escalation in this ongoing conflict. In a pivotal moment for Ukraine's ongoing conflict, President Volodymyr Zelensky expressed optimism that U.S. President Donald Trump could play a crucial role in ending the war provided that Ukraine is included in any discussions. Zelensky's remarks come amidst significant geopolitical tensions, with the war nearing its 3-year mark as both sides prepare for potential negotiations. During a press conference held alongside Moldova's President Maya Sandu, Zelensky emphasized the necessity for Ukraine's involvement in any peace talks. Ending the war would not be possible unless Trump includes Ukraine itself in any negotiations, he stated, underscoring the Ukrainian government's long-standing concern over being sidelined in decisions that profoundly affect its future. He further remarked, otherwise, it will not work. Because Russia does not want to end the war while Ukraine wants to end it. Trump, who was inaugurated just days earlier, had pledged to resolve the conflict swiftly, claiming he could do so within 24 hours of taking office. However, Zelensky pointed out the ambiguity surrounding the terms of any potential agreement, suggesting that even Trump may not fully understand the complexities involved. This has to end or it will get worse, Zelensky quoted Trump as saying, while also expressing his belief that the U.S. leader genuinely desires a resolution to the ongoing hostilities. Zelensky's comments come against a backdrop of uncertainty regarding U.S. military aid to Ukraine. Newly appointed Secretary of State Marco Rubio announced a temporary pause on foreign aid grants, raising concerns about the future of support that Ukraine heavily relies on, up to 40% of its military needs. However, Zelensky reassured the public, stating, "I am focused on military aid, it has not been stopped, thank God." Amidst these political developments, the humanitarian situation in the region remains dire. Moldova, grappling with an energy crisis exacerbated by the cessation of Russian gas flows through Ukraine, is seeking coal supplies from Ukraine as a stopgap measure. Sandu highlighted Russia's orchestration of an energy crisis in Moldova, noting how energy prices have surged, particularly in areas controlled by pro-Russian separatists. As the potential for negotiations looms, both Ukraine and Russia are intensifying their military efforts to gain leverage. Russian forces continue to mount offensives in the Donetsk region, with recent claims of territorial gains. Concurrently, Ukrainian air defenses have been active, successfully intercepting drone and missile attacks launched by Russia, reflecting the ongoing volatility on the ground. The interplay of military actions and diplomatic initiatives underscores a critical juncture in the conflict. Zelensky has called for the inclusion of European allies in any future negotiations, articulating a vision for a comprehensive peace framework that recognizes Ukraine's sovereignty and aspirations. "I really hope Ukraine will be there, the US, Europe, and the Russians," he said, highlighting the importance of a collective approach to resolving the conflict. As the situation evolves, the international community will be closely monitoring both the ramifications of Trump's presidency on US-Ukraine relations and the broader geopolitical landscape in Eastern Europe. with the potential for renewed discussions on peace. The coming weeks could prove decisive for Ukraine's quest for stability and territorial integrity.